Among the many big fights of this election was the one that took place in Thiruvananthapuram in Kerala, where Shashi Tharoor is now a four-term MP. I'm Barkha Dutt, you're with the Mojo Story. In a moment from now, we will be speaking to Shashi Tharoor, the Congress leader, who after a tight and often close fight has emerged victorious in his seat of Thiruvananthapuram in Kerala, where there was a multi-corner contest. Shashi Tharoor went up against Union Minister Rajiv Chandrasekhar, but also had to contest against the left. We joined him on the campaign trail when he was campaigning, and perhaps Mr. Tharoor, Dr. Tharoor, did not expect the fight to be as tough as it turned out to be. To talk about the result, what he's planning next, and also the national picture, let's go across live now to Shashi Tharoor, who joins us. Welcome to the program, Shashi, and many congratulations. And tell me, hand on your heart, how nervous were you when the numbers were going up and down? Did you think you might lose?
Yeah, I mean, I can't say I was entirely nervous simply because we knew which areas remained to be counted, and some of my strongholds were yet to be counted. That is, the coastal areas and the rural belt, and therefore we kept calm. But I must say that when this actual number kept going up, and Rajiv seemed to have a lead of about 23,000 at one point, I thought maybe we will have to contemplate the unthinkable. But when the counting started, we not only reversed it, we went ahead by 16, and that was a good sign. I think the analysis is very interesting in the constituency because, on the one hand, we lost, as we partly expected to, some of the urban areas where the BJP's very effective message was, you vote for our guy, you'll get a minister, he can deliver so many goodies. You vote for that guy, he's going to be an opposition leader. How much good is that going to do you? And that kind of messaging works with certain urban sections of the voting electorate. The other area where he did surprisingly well was in CPM strongholds. There were 2 or 3 constituencies held currently by CPM MLAs in which the CPI candidate collapsed to next to nothing, and Rajiv Chandrasekhar came out ahead of me. And that certainly, I think, requires some introspection on the part of the CPM as well, in my view, as to what on earth they were up to out there. We have our own guesses, but it would be inappropriate for me to make allegations. Nonetheless,
no. Let me interject there, because when I met you, when you were campaigning, you actually said at that point that the left was spending more time, the CPM was spending more time in attacking you than in attacking Modi. And today you're kind of alluding to the fact that the left helped Rajiv Chandrasekhar. I don't know if you're suggesting willingly or unwittingly. What are you saying?
Well, look, I mean, there is a core left vote that Paniyan Ravindran got. He got about 2.5 lakh votes. But there were votes in CPM areas that is very, very difficult to explain without some cross-voting from people who, let's say, in the most recent assembly election, voted in a CPM MLA, that they somehow mysteriously decided this time to cast their votes for a BJP MP. That is an unusual development, and it's something which I think bears thinking about by some people, including in particular in the left.
I mean, isn't it kind of exposing the contradiction of the India alliance, where you are so bitter and cynical about the left in Kerala, but their alliance partners at the national level? Like, how do you reconcile all of it?
My dear Barkha, I've told you this before. We have different political histories in different states in our country. Each state has its own political reality and calculations. And even when the India alliance said we would have a nationwide alliance, they also said the details would be worked out state by state. I'm very conscious that right next door to Kerala, we have no trouble in allying with the CPM, CPI, the Muslim League, and the DMK. And we've had no trouble in the previous election or this one, and probably not in the foreseeable future either. But in Kerala, it's inconceivable that we'll have any truck with the CPM or indeed with the left in general. And we intend to take them on in 2 years' time in the state assembly elections too.
But you do
Even
say,
if they're allied with us in Delhi.
But you are saying that at the state level in Kerala, you believe that the left, you haven't used this phrase, I'm using it, the left had some sort of tactical arrangement with the BJP.
Look, there is certainly some serious questions that are being raised about voting patterns in both Thrissur and Thiruvananthapuram. I'm going to leave it there simply because I would rather leave it to objective observers to make the calculations and raise these questions. They're beginning to be asked already. And I understand there's already some internal anguish within the left front in Kerala, because there's some debating going on. I mean, you see, there is an awkwardness to the alliance on the left. In both Thrissur and Thiruvananthapuram, the left standard bearer was the CPI. And the strongholds and the bigger votes in Kerala in the left are with the CPM. Did the CPM let down their comrades in the CPI is a question that many are asking. I'll leave it there.
Okay, let's talk though about how tight a fight it was. It was obviously tighter than you had thought, as you've said elsewhere, and even to me in the campaign. You believed that you had the election more or less in the bag.
Yeah.
What was the worst moment on counting day for you? Like that sort of moment when your heart momentarily stops. Did you have any such moment?
As I said, honestly, I stayed calm because I knew that when the places that remained to be counted came in, we'd do very well. I just didn't know how well we would do, and therefore, when Rajiv's lead reached about 23,000, I began to think, look, okay, maybe this is over. We can certainly pull a lot of this back, but we can't pull all of it back. And I was sort of dreading this prospect of a kind of one vote victory or a one vote defeat, and God knows, recounts and all these things. But as it turned out, there were enough votes in our favor left to be counted, and we came out 16,000 ahead. And I will say that this is part of the joy in some ways of our democracy. But at the same time, I will also admit there are many, many colleagues of mine in Parliament today who have won with smaller majorities than I did. So that's, it's not unknown. And the 16,000 I've got will, I think, rapidly be filed in the recesses of memory when we start getting to work in Parliament and not thinking about how we got there.
I'll come to Parliament and your own next steps in a moment. But let's talk about the rise of the BJP, if one can call it that, in Kerala. The BJP has won Thrissur. Suresh Gopi has won Thrissur. And they do point to the fact that they have taken a substantial vote share in Thiruvananthapuram, which is not new. I think even last time they took about 31% of the vote share. That urban area messaging of the BJP in your home state of Kerala, do you believe that the BJP has begun to be a force to be taken seriously in Kerala?
I think with some serious caveats there, Barkha. Number one, they went from being a 13% party to being a 16% party. That's not exactly earth-shaking. In these two constituencies, there were special factors, and Suresh Gopi ran an overtly secular-minded campaign, reaching out consciously to minorities, particularly the Christian minority. And I think this all paid off. I think in many ways, it underscored my message that there is a very serious limit to communal messaging that the BJP thinks it can do in the north of the country. They can't really do that in the south. In fact, I think they were damaged by that association with communalism. And what was interesting and lucky for Suresh Gopi is that the extremely inflammatory rhetoric that the Prime Minister got into after the perceived setbacks in the first and second phase, when he started talking about everything from Mangal Sutras to Machli to Mujra and so on, and us snatching away buffaloes and giving them to Muslims and all of that. When that kind of rhetoric happened, I think a lot of people who would perhaps have been willing to consider voting for a BJP candidate like Suresh Gopi might well have changed their minds after having heard that kind of stuff. That kind of language has no traction in our state.
How did it end with Rajiv Chandrasekhar? Did he pick up the phone and call you? I'm asking because at one point in the campaign, he did send you a legal notice. He threatened to sue you.
He has sued me in both Delhi and Kerala, which I think is frankly preposterous, because all I said was that I had heard what the interviewer asked me whether I had heard, which was that money was changing hands to get votes for him. There are videos all over YouTube of people saying they were given money by the BJP to vote for the BJP. So there was nothing unusual in saying that I'd heard it. I'd heard the YouTube myself. But in any case, if he wants legal action, it'll have to be done, I suppose. He's got deep pockets, a lot deeper than mine. And we will see what needs to be done to defend ourselves against these cases. But no, he did not call me. I did take to the air immediately after when I came out. After the results were declared, I came out and saw the assembled media, and I congratulated both opponents for the spirited fight they put up. But I never heard from him.
And you're ready to face legal consequences should he follow them through?
Now, he has followed the cases, I believe, being scheduled, the one in Delhi and the one in Kerala. I think we might just move to try them club together in a place where the Malayalam language is better understood, which will probably be Kerala. So we'll see. But I mean, frankly, this is such an unnecessary exercise. He had complained to the Election Commission. I had promptly stopped touching that subject thereafter. Why a suit is necessary is beyond me to understand.
Why do you think the BJP was able to get the traction it was able to in Thrissur and Thiruvananthapuram?
Look, Thiruvananthapuram has always been the BJP's strongest constituency. People don't often realize that there is no city in India with a greater number of temples per square foot or square mile or square kilometer than Thiruvananthapuram. There are more temples in Thiruvananthapuram than in Kashi. People don't understand this. It is a deeply Hindu city, deeply devout. 68% of the population is Hindu, whereas in Kerala as a whole, it's only 53% Hindu. It's very strongly Nair electorate. The Nairs community to which I also belong are sort of the Rajputs of Kerala, the warriors, the landlords, the kings, that sort of lot. And they have been the first to be receptive to the BJP's messaging in Kerala. But whereas in Kerala as a whole, Nairs are 14% and Trivandrum, they're 28%. So you're looking at very propitious ground for the BJP in Thiruvananthapuram. Thrissur is more of a surprise because in Thrissur, Mr. Suresh Gopi was able to appeal to 21% Christians in the electorate. And the fact that he was a kind of superstar celebrity didn't hurt. He's not only a movie star of some renown, he is also the very successful host of the Malayalam version of Kaun Banega Crorepati. So you add that element as well. Now, all of these, whether you want to say this is BJP's appeal going up, is debatable. But you know, I think that if it weren't for Suresh Gopi, I'm not sure that he could have won Thrissur either. But anyway, the facts are out. The election results are declared. I congratulated Suresh personally. He is an old friend. In fact, he supported and campaigned for me in 2009. So Suresh is somebody I have quite some fondness for, and I'm sure he'll make a valuable asset to Parliament. But he specifically stated he was running a secular campaign, and you'll look at his first tweet after winning. He talked about thanking the secular voters of Thrissur. So what can I say about the BJP's messaging in Kerala?
Let's talk briefly about what's next for you. When we met on the campaign trail, you did indicate that this was going to be your last Lok Sabha campaign and you wanted to possibly turn your attention to state politics. I remember asking you a direct question. Are you going to aim for the chief minister's post next? And at that time you said, well, a lot of my friends have said, why not go for it? Now that you've got the win under your belt, you're more secure, you're more clear-headed, you're more calm. Is the chief minister's post next?
Listen, I hope my party will give me serious responsibilities in Parliament, and I look forward to executing them. Look, you know, my vision in politics has always been national or international. When I said that I was not likely to fight another Lok Sabha campaign, it was simply that I felt I had done my best. And honestly, 4 terms is more than enough for anyone to be able to make whatever difference they can make for the well-being of the constituents. I've started a number of things that I believe are rolling along pretty well. I'll continue them through for the next 5 years, and then it may be time to leave it to younger blood to take on this challenge. That was essentially the purpose of my message. Okay. I do not recall saying anywhere to you on camera that I was going to make a bid for chief minister, though it is widely.
No, you didn't. You didn't say it directly. You said my friends keep talking to me about it. That's all I got out of you. So I'm trying again.
Friends and strangers, Barkha, is not the point. The point still is that at the moment I've been elected to do a particular job, and this is not the time for me to think about any other job. There's 5 years life in this parliament, and there's 2 years before the state goes to polls in Kerala. What I promise to do is to help lead the fight against the misrule of the CPM and to bring a Congress UDF government into power in Kerala. There I will do that. In the last assembly elections, I headed the campaign manifesto committee of the Congress party. Of the UDF, the United Democratic Front that the Congress leads. And I'll be very happy to play a similar role in 2026. That doesn't mean that I would be necessarily somebody they think of for a role in the state, other than as a campaigner. But I'll certainly do my bit to bring about that result. Let's see what else might await.
Okay, I have just a couple of minutes left with you. So, as a four-term MP, you spoke about bigger responsibility in Parliament. There is a question mark over who will be the leader of opposition for the Congress Party. There was a time in the past when many thought that role would go to you. It went to Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary instead. Do you hope that you will be the leader of the opposition this time?
Now, I actually hope that Rahul Gandhi will take it on, Barkha. He's emerged with the two Bharat Yatras, the Bharat Jodo Yatras, and the robust performance as a campaigner across the country, and with his voting appeal in both North and South, he's really emerged as the party's star campaigner, face, leader, etc. And it'll be fitting that he takes on this responsibility if he's willing to do so. Certainly, I would urge him to take it on. Circumstances are different. In 2019 and in 14, it was very clear why he didn't want the job. I think those objections now should be set aside by him in 2024. We'll have to see. One can't make decisions for others, but I certainly hope that he will consider it.
So what role would you want for yourself ideally when you talk about a larger role post these 5 years or during these 5 years? And if it's not the chief minister, if you're not an aspirant to chief minister, you haven't said no, by the way. You do know that you haven't said no. You haven't said yes, but you haven't said no.
Stop being so unsubtle, Barkha. That's not like you. Or is it? I don't know.
Well, I mean, I'm just doing my job to try and get a clearer response from you.
Okay, I haven't said no and I haven't said yes to anything. At the same time, I am at the disposal of my party, and I hope that my party leadership, which after all brought me into politics 15 long years ago, knows what they would like out of me in my last few years in public life, or in political life. The truth is that there's a great deal that I believe I still have to offer in public life. I know I'm proud of the way in which I've helped move the national conversation on a number of issues. I don't necessarily need to be in the Lok Sabha for that, but some of it took place in the Lok Sabha. And the party can use me as it sees fit. I have placed myself at the disposal of my party president and my party leaders, and we'll see what they come up with, Barkha. The only problem with you're trying to do your job, as you put it, is that the timing is wrong. We've just won an election. We've just come in.
Sure.
A lot of these things are far from being settled. I'm sure we'll have future conversations where we can address all of that.
Fair enough. Let's end with asking you about how you read the verdict, right? There are two narratives that are emerging. One, that the opposition has halted the Modi juggernaut. BJP supporters are counter-arguing that to say that, it's still the largest, it's still more seats than the Congress had in 1991 and so on. I'm sure you've read all the comments. Realistically, without romanticizing it one way or pushing it to the other extreme, what is the message from this verdict, according to you?
No, one thing is definitely it's a victory for Indian democracy, in my view. I think that the Indian voter has shown this wonderful talent for confounding the pundits and the pollsters and the self-declared experts, many of whom have egg all over their complacent faces this week, and I'm very, very pleased about that. Secondly, I think it has put the brakes on the overweening arrogance of the BJP government and the Prime Minister's leadership, which had deliberately created this air of invincibility and inevitability about it. And the arrogance of 400 par and so on has been given its comeuppance by the voters of India, and that is a very healthy sign. Third, I would say that this government now realizes that it can't continue with this my way or the highway approach. You can't anymore demonetize the currency without even informing your cabinet, let alone the finance minister. You can't impose a lockdown on the nation without consulting chief ministers who have to implement it without informing your cabinet. You just can't conduct yourself the way in which Mr. Modi and his government have behaved in the last 10 years. And that's good for the nation because he has to work with people who, if they pull their support, will bring his government down. Finally, he's also, I believe, got to now contend with a robust opposition that he will have to be accommodative towards. We've found in the last 10 years a complete delegitimization of opposition and of dissent. Anything we say is disregarded. We were treated as anti-nationals who should go to Pakistan. That kind of thing has to stop now. When there are 230 plus of us sitting in the Lok Sabha, they just can't take us for granted and ram their way through. They may have larger numbers. That's why they'll have the government, but they will have to work with us. It used to be said once, Barkha, that the Congress Party's parliamentary affairs ministers would spend more time in the opposition benches than they would on our own side. The BJP never did that. They stayed on their high horses on their side of the fence and tried to issue diktats. That's going to have to change. They're going to have to need to bring the opposition along if they want to get any of their serious ideas discussed or passed in Parliament. And I think all that is good for the country, good for democracy, and certainly the credibility of the mother of democracy has just gone up a notch in the outside world as well.
How can we not end without a Tharoorism for this moment? What's the word that you then have to give, get us to check our thesaurus? What's the word that you'd use to describe this verdict?
Oh, I don't know. I think the one I used in this conversation was comeuppance, and I think that that's not very widely used in our country. But I do believe the government has got its comeuppance. There are, I'm sure, equivalent words in many Indian languages. In Malayalam, you might say Tiruchadi, but the fact is that there are ways in which I think the government has really been cut down to size in a way that's really healthy for the country.
Thank you, Shashi. Unfortunately, you've got back-to-back interviews, so we let you go now and look forward to a longer conversation. But it is going to be interesting to see India's parliament. I think we can finally look forward to some very spirited debates in reflecting the spirited nature, the competitive nature of this election, and that's really the spirit of our democracy. Thank you and congratulations. No mean feat to be a four-term MP. Looking really forward in a subtle or unsubtle way to see what you do next. Thank you so much. And that was Shashi Tharoor there talking to us. Thank you for watching and keep watching our special broadcast on election 2024 results.
We're at the Indian mainland's southernmost tip in Kanyakumari, the confluence of the Bay of Bengal, the Arabian Sea and the Indian Ocean. It is from here that we're beginning our big road trip to the heart and the soul of India, Awaaz of Democracy. That's all about traveling thousands of kilometers to look at the food, the fun, the festivity, the flavors of this election, but also, of course, to tell the stories of you the people, of we the people. At Mojo Story, we have always gone to where the story is. It could be the battlefields of Israel and Gaza, it could be the conflict zone of Manipur, or it could be the sorrow and the tragedy of COVID. We think of all of you as members of our community, of our family. So, I'm urging you and requesting you today to help us tell your stories and our stories. So do become a Mojo member, support and power our storytelling, but also get first access to our big interviews, our special ground reports, our town halls, and also have the opportunity to ask our newsmakers questions directly, as well as get published on our platform. Become a Mojo member, click on the link below, and see you soon.